Howdy folks, Hellcorrex here, and welcome to Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 45. Yes, it's another Star League mech, and today we're going to delve into the Crab, the 50 tons of awesomeness. Now, what's the Crab? Well, it's something that was designed back in Star League, it's 2750, and seen a lot of use over the years, and you can still find it running around the battlefield in the Inner Sphere, even facing the clans still. Whoa, did I say clans? Who are they? I don't know. Now, let's just delve into the stats. The Crab, 50 tons. No special endo steel or anything on this thing. It's a 580. Carries 16 heat sinks, just singles, and it has 161 points of armor, which is just 8 short of maximum. Now, weapons, it has 2 large lasers, one in the right and left arm, a medium laser in the center torso, and a small laser in the head. Alright, pretty decent. Carries a lot of firepower up out to range. You know, it has those 2 large lasers, can fire those 2 things and create 16 heat and can dissipate it. So the only time it's going to heat up is when you get to moving. Alright, so you can move, let's say walk, run. You're going up 1 or 2 points. You can do that for 2 turns if you're running, or you can go 4 turns if you're walking. Alright, then you're going to have to shut something off. Well, that's pretty simple. You know, if you've been around long enough, you know how these things work. Now, how do I use this thing? Well, typically, I like to use it as kind of a harassing mech. It's got some decent speed. You know, it's a 5. It can dish out at range 15. It can do, you know, 16 points of damage, which is pretty decent. Any light or medium mech's going to notice that. And that's basically how you're going to use this thing. It's kind of a support mech when it comes to scouting role. It's a 5.8, so it has decent speed, so it can do anti-scouting capabilities, do an intercept on something, do a little bit of damage to a light, maybe chase it off. And if it's facing anything else, it can, you know, do some good damage also out to range. And there's nothing to sneeze about it. You know, it's a really good mech. Now, if you get in close, then you can shut off one of those large lasers and start using the other 2. You know, so a large laser, medium laser, small laser. You know, it's not going to be a lot of damn heat. So you could flip flop. You know, you can do 2 large lasers and the other 2 small ones. 2 large lasers, the other small ones. So the damage output's about the same. All right. But, you know, you got to get in really close to use that small laser. So there's something I'll talk about here in a little bit. Now, if you like to use this, let's say you're in a medium lance and you're facing some heavies, with that 5.8 movement, you do have enough speed you can get around and hit some larger mechs in the side flanks. So if you're hitting a mech that's losing, let's say, a lot of right torso or damaged a lot on the right side, you can displace this thing pretty quickly and get into the right arc and then try to funnel all that damage into the weaker areas and hopefully get into the nice juicy critty areas of the internal structure, or just clear out some internal structure and let's say you get a right torso hit and finish off that right torso, and then they lose the right torso and arm. So it makes a big difference. Now, if you're being into a circumstance where you're facing some odds and you don't like it, you know, with a 5.8 movement, you can displace yourself and get out of a situation or get into some cover and concealment, let's say some wooded areas, heavy wooded areas behind a hill, or just out and out, just say, I'm getting out of sight, you know, get behind a level 2 hill so you're no longer seen. And if you decided to heat this thing up a little bit hot, you know, it does happen. You get some individuals, you get in, it's like they like to fire every single thing they got and try to cook it. You know, like I've always said, you never really do yourself any favors when you're starting to overheat your mech. The detriments that you face don't really outweigh. Over the years, I've noticed too many individuals think they can alpha strike with a mech, and it just doesn't work. You know, you're saying, I have to just get one more hit, that's going to finish him off, and then it's kind of like, oh, geez, thanks, you just hit me in the leg. I don't have any armor there, or I do have armor there, and it does nothing. So it's here nor there. It's your decision. You're the commander. You can play the mechs how you like, but you know, in the long run, you're probably better off not churning your cockpit into the jacuzzi. You know, I've said that before. Now, what can we do with this thing? Now, let's say modifications. Or there's no variants here that they're talking about in the 2750 book, but you do have, let's say you have access to Star League equipment. What's our favorite Star League piece of equipment? Well, that's probably the double heatsink. And if you have access to double heat sinks and you want to do that, there's nothing wrong with putting 10 or 11. I'd say preferably, I always like 11 on this thing. Put 11 double heat sinks on it. All right. That leaves you 5 tons to play with. What would you do with 5 tons? What would I do? Oh yeah, jump jets. 3.5 tons or something like that, or 2.5 tons. Put some jump jets on. Another half ton go towards another. Upgrade that small laser to a medium laser. There's a good idea. And add another half ton of armor. Max it out. You know, that little extra damn armor that you. 8 points might be the difference between taking an internal or not. You know, it's always a good deal. So then you've basically turned 2 large lasers, 2 medium lasers, and your 5A5. So now you can jump behind people if you want to. And with those jump jets, you know, you could still fire a large laser and 2 medium lasers, and that's what 14. If you jump 5, 19, you're not hurting at all for heat. Or you could fire 2 large lasers and a medium laser. There you go. That's 18 plus 5. If you jumped 5, 23. So you're only going up a little bit on the heat scale. So that suddenly changes this mech into something better. And that's something I always like to look at when it comes to this era of type mechs. Now, if I'm a 585, then I'm probably going to look at more of a role of throwing this mech into a scout lance, and you know, you're looking at something that is able to get around a little bit better, and it can do in-close fighting, and it can do support, and it's not reliant on any type of ammo. That's the nice thing about this mech. Without having to worry about ammo or any type of explosive crits, you know, you can do long-range scouting missions with this thing and get it in with some other type of mechs that of the similar make and design, and you can go days and days and days behind enemy lines rampaging without having to worry about any type of resupply. All right, that's how I like to use these type of mechs. And when you're playing campaigns, which is this whole series is kind of based around anyway, is looking at long-term operations. If you are not beholden to a supply line, your options are greater. All right. And if your options are greater, let's say you're doing a Raiders type of mission, you don't have to constantly try to find a place to go back and resupply. And if the enemy's chasing you, you can just displace from one place to another and not have to worry about getting back to a specific area. And you can run enemy forces ragged chasing after this lance, which leaves other places open for those mechs that have to worry about a supply line. Alright? Just think about that. So if you're in a campaign, there are some great options for you. Now, if you have any other questions about this mech, just put them down below. How you might have used it in the past. You know, like I said, this is basically how I use mine, is in either in a medium lance or a light lance as a anti-scout or a scout. Either or works great. It's a great mech. I like having it. And I usually, if it's any type of Star League era or some type of mission like that, you're going to find this mech in my lineup. Alright. You guys have a good one. This is Rex, and we'll see you in the next one.